Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-859-3220. That's 800-859-3220 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-859-3220. 800-859-3220.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
I'm back to doing what I love and more. Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you spend half your day walking or standing while working? If you have foot, knee, or low back pain, the Good Feet store wants to help you like we helped Tony.
Pain that I experience the most is foot pain from being on my feet all day. You're having to kind of talk to yourself through the whole shift, like, I got this, I can do this. Before, I felt defeated, and now it's like, all right, let's go. I'm ready. A whole new life, like sunshine coming out.
And here's Dennis.
Working at an amusement park, it's always on your feet. I just couldn't take it, but I didn't have a choice. I just couldn't believe that putting these arch supports in made that much of a difference that quickly. Good Feet just took that pain away, and I could do my job, and I could take care of my family. I know what my tomorrow's gonna be. It's gonna be positive, and it's gonna be pain-free.
You deserve a better life too. Stop in the Good Feet store today. Walk-ins are always welcome. Or find the location nearest you and schedule an appointment at goodfeet.com.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. And here's Heather Kelly.
No accidents reported across the Wasatch Front, but you still have a few areas of slowing, mostly on the I-15 corridor. In Utah County, it's both directions heading toward Pleasant Grove. And then in the Salt Lake Valley, it's mostly northbound from the South Interchange into downtown Salt Lake. On the west side belt, you're also a little bit below the speed limit between the 201 freeway and California Avenue due to lane restrictions. But things look to be back to normal southbound 15 through Weber and Davis counties. See your favorite characters in the spooktacular smash hit Halloween performance this fall. Thriller. Experience the fall tradition everyone is talking about. Tickets to Thriller on sale now at odysseydance.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today will be partly sunny and some scattered showers and thunderstorms. It will clear up by tomorrow with the rest of the week looking similar. Highs in the 70s and 80s, looking for a high of 73 degrees today. Right now, it is 62 degrees and cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
In light of recent things that have occurred, such as the shooting of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University a week and a half ago, a lot of Utahns have expressed some concern, Holly, over whether or not and how to attend events like this.
Right. It's one of the things where it's a conversation that might be ongoing, right? But are you going to feel safe going to any kind of political event in the U.S.?
Yes, and my computer has completely zapped out here, but I was going to play a piece from Adam Small. Let me see if this works. It doesn't work. I'll get to that in just a minute. No, my computer is off.
Yes, they can play. Yeah, let's play it right now.
Go ahead, thanks.
The Deseret News Hinckley Institute of Politics poll asked just over 500 Utah adults how safe they felt attending political events in the U.S., if at all. 62% said they either don't feel very safe or don't feel safe at all. Just over a third of Utahns also said they are now much less likely to attend political events in the U.S. after what happened to Charlie Kirk. 9 out of 10 Utahns said they are now very concerned about political violence, and the vast majority of locals said they are also concerned about things like civil unrest, gun violence, domestic terrorism, and threats to freedom of speech. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
See, Holly, when you're 68 and you push a button and your computer screen blanks out, you need somebody much younger than you to come in and tell you exactly what you just did. And it was like seconds before the show kicked off.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. But what's interesting to me about this poll, I guess it's not surprising, right? But the Utahns compared to nationally, it really, really hit home for Utahns. And I'm looking at this Deseret News poll. They did it right after the shooting, right? And one of the things that they're asking about is, did you see the video, right? We've been talking about that too. Did you see the video of Charlie Kirk being shot? And about 7 in 10 Utahns did, which is more than the 5 in 10 just generally in the U.S. So even more people here, like they're more familiar with it. It really shook the community is really what this poll is showing.
Yeah, so Utahns, like you said, about 70% have seen the video. Nationally, that was 57%. And Utahns reacted to it much more significantly than nationwide. That is to say 64% of Utahns indicated that they were very shocked by the video, where nationally that number was 47%.
Yeah, I think too, right, we're now more worried about political violence because, again, it hits home. So we have a tendency to call Utah Valley Happy Valley, and here is the death of a national political figure. So more than 9 in 10 Utahns, more than 90% are worried about political violence. More than 80% of Utahns are following the news of the shooting very or somewhat closely, compared to 60% of all Americans. Really, though, I mean, a lot of people have been following this. And more than 5 in 10 say they're less likely to attend political events or rallies, which is interesting because in Utah, we have this caucus system, and I wonder if that might impact attendance at the caucuses going forward. So you've got that one night in March, usually, where you've got a caucus, but then you have a state convention, and the state convention on the Republican side, there's 4,000 delegates there. I wonder if people are going to say, you know what, maybe not this go around.
And I'm also wondering if the fact that Utah's numbers were greater than those nationally, and obviously it's because it happened in Utah, but I think people are shocked not only by the events, but by the fact that it did happen in Utah. And I think that's caused a lot of people some concern, thinking if it can happen here in Utah, it can happen anywhere.
Well, yeah, I think that's probably a fair assessment. There were some other things that they polled on too, which I thought was interesting. They wanted to know in this poll how they thought particular people or groups of people acted. And so President Donald Trump, 47% of Utahns said they approved or somewhat approved, compared to 42% nationally. Governor Cox got 59% of Utahns approved, compared to 41% nationally. Kash Patel, 43%. He's the director of the FBI. 43% of Utahns approved, and nationally 38% did. I mean, it's just interesting. Local law enforcement, Utahns say 68% said they approved of local law enforcement's response, and nationally 51% of Americans say they approved of Utah's law enforcement response.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that any of those numbers are particularly shocking. It's interesting, though, and I don't know whether these two polls were related or they just happen to be conducted about the same time, but one is specific to Utah and one is specific nationally. The Utah poll was conducted by Deseret News, Hinckley Institute of Politics, and there was a concurrent national poll as well. But it sure shows that a lot of people are concerned about politics and political violence in the United States.
Yeah, it is the same. It was done by the same polling organization, both locally and nationally. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to start asking these questions, right? How is this impacting you? How is it impacting the country, right? Who do you blame for political violence? I thought that was an interesting question. Utahns were more likely to choose social media platforms, but than the rest of the country. So 29% of Utahns said social media platforms were to blame, compared to 22% of all Americans. But the other two choices mirrored the rest of the country. 43% blame politicians and 29% blame the media.
Right. And in Utah, it's interesting, 46% of Utahns approved of the Republicans' response to the incident. 36% approved the Democrats' response, while nationally those numbers were a little bit more equal. 30% approved of Republicans' response and 38% approved of Democrats' response. In other words, people are generally not supportive of how politicians have responded, because in every poll, in all four of those situations, the response was less than 50%. The approval for the response of the parties was less than 50%.
Yeah, that's right. Look, we have a texter who told us, and I think he's right. It's interesting how we as humans will fixate on something like the Charlie Kirk shooting and develop a fear of something that, statistically speaking, is ultra rare. We're more likely to be maimed and injured or killed driving to pick up a Starbucks coffee than we are to attend a political rally and be subject to any kind of violence. And yet, as this survey shows, we do develop a fear of something very unlikely to happen. And I think that's true, right? We've talked about even the risk of like plane crashes, right? We think nothing of getting in our car and driving, and we're many times more likely to die in a car accident than a plane accident.
And to me, I mean, we see these political events. We see what happened to even President Trump when he was candidate Trump being shot at that event, and a person was killed. Let's not forget.
Right.
We had the No Kings rally here in Utah around the 4th of July, where an individual was killed who was not was not in the line, not an intended victim. Neither of them were. So in the sense that, hey, I could just be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now we're going to talk later with a politician who's looking at it more personally. But for those of us who just want to attend these events or do something like that, there's also the fear that, hey, I could put myself or my family, if you have children, you might want to rethink attending rallies or things like this.
Right. And, security's heightened. We saw that with the Charlie Kirk funeral, just how intense the security was. So that gives us, I think, a little bit of security for a little while. And then we kind of go back to normal. I mean, some things, we always go back to an equilibrium, right? So we'll see how this plays out over time. But yeah, for now, it's definitely had a chilling effect on people wanting to participate in politics, which actually brings us to the elected official you mentioned earlier. We're gonna talk to Utah County Commissioner Amelia Powers Gardner on her take, but she's not the only one where this has felt really personal. I've seen it online several times over the weekend, people talking about the impact that it has had on elected officials and their families, right? Do you want to put yourself out in the public eye and be recognized and noticed? And we know that death threats are escalating.
And that could even include some of our judiciary who are not elected officials, but are also in the public eye.
Yeah, that's right. Stay with us over the break. We'll be right back.
There's no better place to fall in love with fall than Logan, Utah. Honestly, it's kind of hard to imagine fall right now because it's been so blasted hot this summer. But I promise Logan is the place for cooler temperatures and even cooler events. You absolutely have to come to the Center Street Giant Pumpkin Festival September 27th. These ain't your mama's pumpkins, although I don't really know what that means. But anyway, last year, the record-breaking gourd tipped in at over 2,100 pounds. That's more than 3 grand pianos. Professional pumpkin carvers, family scavenger hunt, activities for kids, live music, more than 100 vendors, and fantastic fall fun. Coming up, we've got the American West Heritage Center's Fall Harvest Festival, the North Logan Pumpkin Walk, 2 giant corn mazes that may or may not be haunted, concerts, historic downtown ghost tours, and more. Don't even ask me when the leaves will be turning because at this point, your guess is as good as mine. But it doesn't matter because whenever you come to Logan, it's always beautiful. Visit ExploreLogan.com to plan your autumn adventures today. ExploreLogan.com.
I'm Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. One of our values is to do only what is good for our customers in the long term. Our goal is to have you as a happy Arctic Spa customer even 10 years down the road and longer. This means that we only sell and service Arctic Spas. We are built for the long term because we cut your electric bill in half compared to other brands. We do multi-level seating, armrests, adjustable pillows, and 100% massaging jets to make it more comfortable, so you will continue to enjoy it over the long term. The Arctic Spa has automatic saltwater care and automatic pH control. Less worry means you will enjoy it more over the long term. Focusing on Arctic Spa customers gives you a better experience with our knowledge, training, parts, and accessories that you need for the long term. You will enjoy your Arctic Spa longer, making us the least expensive option over the long run. When you're looking for a long-term hot tub with service for the long term, check us out at ArcticSpasUtah.com, covering all of Utah with stores in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. Arctic Spa, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate, and the best long-term choice for you.
Get ready to join the climb, Jazz fans. It's time to place your season ticket deposits for the 2025-26 season. Place your deposit now and receive priority access to select your seats, exclusive gear, and more. Season tickets give you access to every home game, plus exclusive member-only discounts and benefits. Call or text 801-355-DUNK or go to UtahJazz.com to lock in your deposit for next season.
Do you have an IRA or 401k? It's natural to think of this as being your money, right? But remember, you still have to pay taxes when you withdraw this money in retirement. And you could be paying a lot more in taxes on these accounts than you know. A lot more. Learn the strategies that can help you reduce or eliminate your taxes in retirement. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL News Radio 1027.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Matthew.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I just need you to listen to me.
I know that a lot of times, Mom, it might not seem like I'm listening to you, but I am. I hear you. And what you say really does matter to me.
I mean, let's be honest. No kid likes rules, but I get why we have them. I hear you, and I know it's because you care.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thanks, Mom, for never giving up and always being my biggest fan.
Thank you for letting me know what you expect, so I can try to meet your expectations.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
An expanded Inside Sources.
Before we get to our guest, I wanted to just talk about an article I saw. It's from the Associated Press, and then KSL has picked it up as well. But it really is on looking at the national level. Members of Congress are taking steps to tighten their own security. And House Speaker Mike Johnson, National House Speaker, of course, said for so many of us, it has felt like the ground was shaken, right? I mean, already I'm sure they were taking their security seriously. But now it just feels like, okay, man, I really have to think about what we're doing and maybe spend some additional money and do more to make sure that we are safe, keeping ourselves and our families safe.
You'd almost think after January 6, 2021, that was certainly a important event. I mean, that was an event where I think Congress would have had every reason to say, okay, our security may not be what we've expected it to be. And I think that the Washington law enforcement community upped their ante a little bit and made the grounds there a little safer. But we're talking about individuals in their individual capacity and where they go and what they do and when they go speak, when they go home and speak or something like that. Because this Charlie Kirk thing, I'll admit, came completely out of the blue. I mean, we're sitting there, you and I, 2 weeks ago, having a meeting after the show ended, and all of a sudden we hear about this, and it was almost like,
Wait, what?
No, that didn't happen.
Right. You know, what's interesting is I think at least, that lawmakers, at least in Congress, D.C., that they have security. They really don't have security. So, of course, the president does and some of the top officials do, but most don't. Remember, there's 435 members of the House, 100 senators, and unless they hire their own, they usually don't. So if they're going to go back home to their state, they may or may not have any. If they're walking to lunch in D.C., they probably almost certainly don't have security. And if you remember when Mitt Romney was a presidential candidate, he had to hire his own. Actually, when he was the senator, when he was the senator from Utah, he had to hire his own security because he was getting so many threats. He felt like that was worth it to him, and it was a lot.
And you'd think our congressional and Senate representatives would think, I don't need it. I mean,
well, now they don't think that.
Right. And it's too bad. I mean, maybe this is something that we're going to look at a year or two from now and say, boy, that things were heightened at the time, but they backed off a little bit. I don't know that that's true necessarily, but it is troubling that we're at that point where our Supreme Court justices, our state justices, are concerned about their safety, and our legislative leaders, both local and national, are concerned about their safety. There's no reason for that, because what it does is it might reduce the interest of individuals wanting to get into these fields, thinking, wait a minute, do I really want to put myself and my family through that kind of tension?
Right. And I've seen multiple of my friends in elected office who are saying, I really have to reconsider. And I saw a post by Utah County Commissioner Amelia Powers Gardner on LinkedIn actually this morning, and she has some feelings about this. Welcome to our show, Commissioner.
Thank you for having me on, guys.
Hey, can you talk about both what Tanner Ainge posted and what you're feeling, what your reaction has been to this Charlie Kirk murder?
Yeah, as many people may remember, I actually sit in the seat that Tanner Ainge had. He was a Utah County Commission seat A before I was, and I served with him when I was the clerk auditor. When he was the county commissioner, he himself received threats. We had to put sheriff's deputies on his house because he had received threats. And he posted an article that talked about this increasing polarization and rhetoric, and talking about how are we going to get good people to run for office if this is what they have to deal with. And I commented on that as being somebody who's currently in the arena, especially having this Charlie Kirk assassination happen here in my county, it makes me question whether I'm safe and whether my family is safe. I didn't mention this in the post, and so you may not know, but I currently have the status of an at-risk government employee because we had people show up at our home address.
Wow.
And I have a letter from the sheriff to become an at-risk employee so that my address can be restricted. We sold that house, and my family moved to a new house, and that new house is restricted. And I literally had to go to a battle with our county clerk, who was trying to remove me from the withheld list and my family from the withheld list from the voter registration, because he didn't see why I needed it. I had a letter from the sheriff, and I'm still fighting with the county clerk to restrict our address because people showed up at our house.
That's so scary.
And I know you have a family, and that's got to be a greater concern, Commissioner. What are you hearing now from the greater community, not just within the county commissions, but like school board officials, others like that? Are they having the same sort of level of concern?
Well, it's funny you should ask that, because we had 2 members of our planning commission just this month that had people show up at their homes. We had 2 people that serve at a volunteer basis on the Utah County Planning Commission who had people show up at their homes. Now, those people were peaceful and they just wanted to talk, but regardless, they found their home address and showed up at their homes.
Wow.
I would actually really like to see the legislature pick this up as an issue. And I think if you're serving in elected office, or if you're serving on a board or a commission for the government, I think we should be able to restrict your address, because sometime in the last 5 years, at least here in Utah for sure, people cross that line where they think it's acceptable to show up at someone's house. You know, Greg, you mentioned I have kids. I have a child with a diagnosed anxiety disorder. Having people show up at our house is very detrimental for his health.
Yeah. Commissioner, what is this? What kind of chilling effect do you think this has on people wanting to run for office?
it cannot be overstated how much of a chilling effect this has. I myself look at this and say, is this worth the risk to my family? My family already sacrifices quite a bit with me serving in public office, but then is safety a risk I'm willing to take for my family? And if I think that is someone who's in the arena making a difference, other people, they're not going to want to take that leap. Especially government doesn't pay well. If you're in the corporate sector, you're making more money than when you run for office. So you're asking people to not only take a pay cut and to have public scrutiny constantly, which is hard enough, but then to put their family at risk. I think it's just one step too far.
We're speaking this morning with Amelia Powers Gardner, Utah County Commissioner. And Commissioner, you spoke about having the legislature maybe pick this up. You mentioned restricting access to addresses or sort of availability of that. Can you think of anything else that the legislature might be able to do? I mean, I don't know that we can have armed guards, obviously, on every one of our elected officials, but there've got to be some other things that we can do to restrict, just to preserve your privacy, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think absolutely restricting our home addresses would be a point. If people want to protest, we work in government buildings. I'm sitting in a government building now. You can come protest on the sidewalk here. There's no reason to go and harass my children. But beyond that, we could increase the penalties for trespassing if you're trespassing on the private property of a public official. And I wouldn't say just elected officials, because we have a lot of employees as well. I was actually sent a Reddit thread where people were trying to dox the home addresses of staffers for members of our congressional delegation, right? If you're showing up at these people's homes, if you're harassing them at their place of business, or at their work, if they're serving on like the Planning Commission, if you're showing up at their place of business, I think you should have increased penalties.
Wow. I learned a lot from you, and most of it not good. Thank you for joining us. We've been speaking with Amelia Powers Gardner, and look, she referenced Tanner Ainge, who was a previous commissioner. He posted something from William Bennett, who was the education secretary under Ronald Reagan. And he said this is from William Bennett. "We have made the cost of conviction so high that capable, principled people retreat from public engagement entirely. We have created a world where it is safer to be silent than to speak, safer to conform than to question, safer to hide than to stand. There is a certain relief in that, but it does not come without a cost." And I think I learned from Amelia how high that cost can be. I mean, to have employees being doxxed, that's just not okay.
And she made a couple of suggestions, not the least of which is protecting their identity, their address, but also maybe enhancing the crime, stalking crimes if the person that you're going after is a public official.
I think those make good sense.
This weekend, a 5-hour memorial service for Charlie Kirk was held in Arizona, with his widow sharing the most powerful message of the day. We'll talk about that when we come back.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top local story this hour. More than half of Utahns say they don't feel safe attending political events anymore following the murder of Charlie Kirk. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has details.
That's according to results from a new Deseret News Hinckley Institute of Politics poll. After Charlie Kirk's murder, they surveyed just over 500 Utah adults and asked if they felt safe attending political events or rallies in the United States. 62% said they either don't feel very safe or don't feel safe at all. More than half of those polled also said they are now less likely to attend political events.
The majority of Utahns also said they're concerned about things like civil unrest, gun violence, and threats to freedom of speech. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: the new COVID vaccine will be available through some insurance companies.
The trade group America's Health Insurance Plan says the vaccine will be covered at no cost to patients through 2026. That group includes every major insurer except United Healthcare. CVS says their pharmacies are stocked with the vaccines, and they are now able to deliver vaccinations in all 50 states and D.C. Prescriptions are required in D.C. and some states, including Florida and Georgia. Walgreens also requires prescriptions in a few states. Wayne Cabot, ABC News.
In other health news, Utah has confirmed its 34th case of measles. The latest is in Cache County. The Bear River Health Department says the patient was not vaccinated, and the health department is working to contact anyone who may have been exposed. Your money at this moment: the Dow continues its record rise to 46,343. That's up 28 points this morning. Coming up, cooler temperatures today and tomorrow before we start to see things warm up. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 9:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Do you know why more homeowners choose Any Hour Services for help when it's time to replace their air conditioners? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and the main reasons people choose Any Hour Services is because of our people, processes, and convenience. People tell us all the time that there's just something different about having an Any Hour Services technician in their home. That's why most of our over 18,000 Google reviews mention our technicians by name. Another reason is our 7-step install process that we call the Any Hour Difference. It all starts with a needs analysis where you explain what you like and dislike about your current system. This helps us design and size a system that fits your comfort and efficiency preferences as well as your home's airflow requirements. As for convenience, most of our installs are completed in one day. We also have flexible, no-money-down financing options available, even if you've been told no in the past. So if you've been thinking about getting a new air conditioner, call Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate today. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Time for a check of traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Let's check in with Heather Kelly.
Well, we had a pretty major crash on US 40 in Heber City. It shut down both northbound and southbound lanes of travel right at Centers Creek Drive. Now, they just opened both the lanes of travel about 4 minutes ago, but you still have delays in both directions heading toward Center Creek Drive, so just be aware of that. You may have a little bit of backup, but things are starting to clear out now that all the lanes are open. If you're in the Salt Lake Valley, northbound I-15 still has a few brake lights heading into downtown Salt Lake City, but there are no accidents reported in Utah, Salt Lake, Davis, or Weber counties. Keep that big event energy big. Take UTA and skip the parking lot. Plan your trip at rideuta.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather. Today we're looking at partly sunny with scattered showers and thunderstorms. That should clear up by tomorrow. The rest of the week looking similar. Highs in the 70s and 80s. A 60% chance of rain today. Looking for a high of only 73. Right now, 63 degrees and partly cloudy. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
On Friday, after we ended our show, a vigil was held on the campus of Utah Valley University for slain conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Several thousand people attended that. It was near, I think, or at the venue where he spoke. But this weekend, I think it was yesterday, in Arizona at State Farm Stadium, which I think is where the Arizona Cardinals football team plays, a very big remembrance was held, and it lasted 5 hours. I think there were something like 60,000 people there. Erica Kirk shared the most powerful message of the day. This is his widow.
My husband, Charlie, he wanted to save young men just like the one who took his life. On the cross, our Savior said, "Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do." That man, that young man, forgive him.
Okay, that took a lot of courage, and that was something that came out of the blue. I think I think a lot of people didn't expect that, but it was huge. It was huge. It was probably the most important thing that we heard all day.
That's actually one of the things that I saw as I looked through multiple news stories all weekend. Is that moment really stood out to, I think, members of the media. I think people who were there, people in Utah. So in Utah, there was a gathering at the Provo Convention Center. Utah GOP Chair Rob Axson was there. There were people there who were tuned in to the broadcast of this funeral. As you mentioned, it was 5 hours, but there were 3 hours of lead-up music to that point. I mean, it really, people were lined up before dawn. It was an all-day affair with a lot of speakers, and I think Erica Kirk, her ability to be able to say that it's got to be so fresh, right? The grief is so fresh. It's only been a week and a half, not quite 2 weeks. That was super powerful. And she had more also to say.
I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do. The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love, and always love. Love for our enemies and love for those who persecute us.
President Trump followed after Erica Kirk spoke, and at the moment that stood out, unfortunately for the president.
He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie. I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry. I am sorry, Erica. But now Erica can talk to me and the whole group, and maybe they can convince me that that's not right, but I can't stand my opponent.
I think
Not
that's
sure who
just
he's talking
weird.
about here. Yeah, in terms of his opponent, although he articulated a little bit who that would be. So if you had to break down the speakers yesterday, they sort of ranged from the religious, and the two sound bites that we just heard were perfect examples of this. The religious Charlie Kirk and the political Charlie Kirk. And Trump brought out sort of the politics of it, where Erica talked about the religious part of it. And there were, I think his pastor, there were several religious speakers there, and then they got to the political speakers, including both our vice president and president, who had fairly significantly different messages.
Although, to be fair, they also mentioned Christ, and I think President Trump mentioned bringing people to Christ and Charlie Kirk's efforts. It's just that it was such a juxtaposition at a memorial service for someone who really was just assassinated for his political beliefs to say, I hate my opponent, right? That was so, it felt unnecessary, right? And what's interesting also is the crowd liked both statements.
Yeah, they sort of applauded equally to both statements. And I think for the reason that we just talked about, there's the religious angle to this and there's the political angle to this. And you can forgive in the religious part. And you know, I was talking to my wife about this yesterday, about the death penalty. And that you can forgive someone, but still
want accountability.
Yeah, to still speak. I could see someone speaking, and I'm just thinking rhetorical. This has nothing to do with this particular case. At a allocution hearing or something where somebody's trying to not get the death penalty and say, "Look, I forgive you, but I still think that that's the appropriate punishment." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think those are inconsistent themes. What Trump said is clearly inconsistent, which is the hate, but the forgiveness part of it could still include something more than just, let's move on. I mean, he should still be punished, and I'm sure that she'll never back off from that. But if you recall, Erica Kirk, after the event, after her husband was killed, she doubled down a little bit, and her initial response was, "You haven't seen anything yet. If you think that we're done, you're wrong."
Well, I don't think that has changed.
Right, and so, but then she gets up there and I think gives a very poignant. It was, by all accounts, it was a very good thing that she said. The president also said that he will soon be honoring the Kirk family.
But that's why I will soon award Charlie the nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. It's the highest civilian honor.
He ended his remarks saying that they grieve for the leader that they lost, but they go forward strengthened. And again, it was really interesting to me to see. I've never seen a 5-hour memorial service. I mean, that seems so long. And it seemed to be a combination of a religious revival meeting and a political campaign rally, but a combination of both talking about Jesus and talking about the radical left and talking about Turning Point USA and how it was going to go forward and how we're going to have 1 million new Charlie Kirks. It was a really interesting 5 hours.
Yeah, and there were people there from all over the country. I was surprised that it went 5 hours as well. I would have been uncomfortable sitting there for 5 hours. But it was at a football stadium. And what was pleasant about this, from what I've heard and read, is that there were not any major disruptions. Nothing happened untoward during the event. I mean, people were well behaved.
I saw
one. There may have been some protests outside or something like that, but once they got inside the stadium, it seems like things were relatively calm.
Yeah, I didn't hear about any protests, but I did see one article where there was one man who was carrying a gun up to the stadium dressed as a security guard, but they arrested him pretty quickly.
Yeah, I suppose there was some fairly high alert there for guns and security. There was Kimberly Kell from California.
This love for the Lord, and
you described it better than I did. Religious revival and political rally.
Yeah.
I think those are the words you used, and that's exactly what it was. And an interesting mix of both of those. Of course, the political part of it got a little heated, but the religious part maintained a spirit of let's move forward, even forgiveness. What are the messages of Christ? And I don't know.
There was one speaker who said, go have 1 million kids. Okay, well, I have almost that many, but I mean, it's just there were